नमस्ते दोस्तों एंड वेलकम बैक टू MindSense, जहां हम एक्सप्लोर करते हैं साइकोलॉजी दैट हेल्प्स अस ग्रो, अडैप्ट एंड थ्राइव। और आज हम बात करने वाले हैं अबाउट समथिंग वी हैव ऑल डन, वेल मे बी सम मोर देन अदर्स, लाइंग या झूठ बोलना। In this episode, we will dive deep into the psychology of lying, from its evolution to its cultural roots, its emotional cost, and its moral gray zones. So let's first decode what exactly is a lie. There are three elements to every lie. The first is that the statement is false. Second is that the speaker knows it's false. And third, and the most important part, is that the intention is to make others believe it's true. The keyword here is intention. So technically, if you say something wrong by mistake, that's not lying. That's just being human. You know, as kids we were always told कि झूठ बोलना पाप है, that it's a sin to lie. But interestingly, psychology sees lying as a normal, even necessary part of human behavior. Researchers say an average adult lies 1 to 2 times a day, mostly small ones. It's like a social lubricant. It keeps peace, saves feeling, and sometimes prevents unnecessary conflict. But of course, not all lies are equal. So let's understand what are the different types of lies. Psychologists classify lies into many kinds. The first one is white lies. These are harmless, polite lies we all often use. For instance, saying, "Wow, you look great," even when you don't really think so. You're telling someone, "I had a great time," even when you couldn't wait to get home. These lies are told to protect someone, usually not to hurt their feelings. In psychology, they are called pro-social lies. Lies told for the sake of social harmony. In India, white lies are almost cultural, a way of being polite and well-mannered. Like, it would be considered extremely rude if you were to go to someone's house and point out that the food was too salty when they ask, "How's the food?" The second kind is an exaggerated lie. We all know this one, like saying traffic was insane, I waited for 2 hours, when it was just 20 minutes. Exaggerations make stories sound exciting, dramatic, or more impressive. But we should remember that over time, these exaggerations blur the line between the truth and the fiction. The third is the lies of omission. You didn't exactly lie, but you didn't tell the full story either. ये सबसे ज़्यादा common है because there are so many factors involved. Maybe you felt it was not important for you to share something, or you were trying to protect other person's feeling, but usually it's done to protect oneself. And it's definitely a gray zone. The fourth kind is the fabrication. Now these are the big ones. Complete falsehoods. ऐसा झूठ जिसका justification कोई accept ही नहीं करता. For example, lying about your qualifications on a resume or making up a story to gain sympathy. These take effort and you have to remember what you said to whom and when. That's why they are stressful. Your brain works overtime keeping track of these lies. The fifth kind is the benevolent lies. Sometimes lies are told out of kindness, telling a terminally ill person that you are getting better, or assuring a child that their pet went to a farm. Such lies may comfort others. But it raises a deep moral questions like, does intention makes a lie acceptable? And the last one is the compulsive or pathological lies. Some people lie constantly, even when there is no clear reason. This is often a psychological pattern linked to insecurity or the need for control. It's not about gain, it's about habit, an automatic defense mechanism. And if you're listening and thinking, "Oh, I have done all these at some point," well, congratulations, you are just human. Now the real question is, why do we lie at all? Psychologically, there are several reasons. One of the top reasons is to avoid punishment. From a very young age, we start to realize that truth sometimes brings trouble. A kid often denies doing the mischief, fearing the scolding from the parent. that fear-driven instinct stays with us. The second reason is to protect ourselves or our image. As adults, we often lie to save face. We lie to protect our image of a desire to manage our social reputation, avoid rejection or shame, and preserve our self-esteem. Maybe it comes with the fear of not being liked, a need to project a more favorable or powerful persona, or to avoid the consequences of telling the truth, such as embarrassment or conflict. The third reason could be to protect others. Sometimes we lie to spare someone pain. Like when we tell a friend that everything is going to be alright, even when it doesn't look that way. We choose kindness over accuracy. Then there is lying to maintain the harmony. In collectivist societies like India, social peace is more valued than blunt honesty. So we often soften the truth, use polite phrases, and sometimes say what people want to hear. Another strong reason to lie is for personal gain. These are self-serving lies to get ahead, gain power, and manipulate others. These are the most damaging and usually seen as an antisocial behavior. While sometimes seen as an easy way to get ahead, it can have significant negative consequences when discovered. And the last reason is for survival. In many dangerous or high-stakes situations, lying can literally save a life. During war or crisis, people have lied to protect themselves or someone else. Here, lying becomes a moral necessity. Now, interestingly, lying is part of human evolution. Even animals show deception. A chameleon changes its color to hide. Some birds fake injury to distract predators. So lying isn't purely moral, it's also biological. In humans, it evolved as a social skill, a way to survive, negotiate, or maintain peace. But every lie has a cost. When we lie, our brain experiences stress. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision making, works overtime to keep the lie consistent. And the amygdala, which processes the emotion, reacts with fear or guilt. That's why liars often show the signs of anxiety, hesitation, or inconsistent body language. Like their heart rate increases, pupils dilate, voice pitch slightly rises. These physiological signs form the basis of polygraph test, though they are not foolproof. But here's something fascinating. The more we lie, the less guilty we feel. Repeated lying desensitizes the brain's emotional response. And over time, lying becomes easier. That's why psychologists warn that every lie makes the next one simpler. Now, how do you know when someone's lying? No single sign proves it, but patterns can reveal a lot. Watch for things like inconsistent details. Just a story changes each time they're retelling. Or body language like avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, touching the face. One can look out for speech pattern as well, like long pauses, over-explaining, or avoiding direct answers. There could also be emotional mismatch, like you ask something very simple, but the other person is getting very angry or irritated. But do remember that nervousness doesn't always mean lying. Some honest people genuinely get anxious when questioned. Now let's talk about lying in purely Indian context. हमारा रिलेशनशिप सच के साथ काफी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है. On one side, we consider सत्य as the highest form of morality. We value it so much कि हमारा नेशनल मोटो ही है कि सत्यमेव जयते, truth alone triumphs. But interestingly, Indian ethics also value intent. If a lie is told to protect someone from harm, it may not be condemned. For example, in Mahabharata, Yudhishthira tells a half-truth. He says Ashwathama is dead, referring to an elephant, not the warrior. Was it a sin or a strategy? The debate continues even today. In real life too, Indian families often value respect over raw honesty. We are told कि बेटा बड़ों से ऐसे बात नहीं करते. So we learn early that being nice sometimes matters more than being right. That's why Indians often tell small social lies out of respect, politeness, or to avoid conflict. So now that we have understood the psychology behind lying, let's talk about something practical. How can we use this awareness in daily life to actually grow? सबसे पहले, accept the simple truth. People lie. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes out of fear, sometimes just out of habit. You can't control that. But what you can control is your own honesty. From your side, try not to lie when it's avoidable, because every unnecessary lie drains your mental energy. If you think about it, most of our small silly lies come from one common issue. We don't know how to set clear boundaries. For example, in the workplace, instead of making excuses or over-promising, you can simply say, "Give me some time, I will check and get back to you." That's polite, honest and professional. And in personal life, कभी-कभी मना करना भी ठीक होता है. You don't owe everyone an explanation. If someone invites you for an event you're not interested in or you're not that close, you can just say, "Sorry, I won't be able to make it." That's it. No guilt, no stories. When you communicate with honesty and boundaries, you save your brain from the stress of maintaining unnecessary lies. It's not about being brutally honest. It's about being calmly authentic. And that small shift can bring you immense peace, confidence, and self-respect. So far, we have explored why we lie and how to live more truthfully. But let's face it, sometimes you're not the liar. You are the one who's been lied to. And that hurts. When someone lies to you, whether it's a family member, partner, or friend, it feels like betrayal. Because it's not just about the lie itself. It's about what it means. And to each person, it may mean something different, from mistrust to disrespect. And that's what really breaks us. So let's understand what happens emotionally when we are lied to. Psychologically, being lied to activates the same region of the brain as physical pain. Yes, the brain processes betrayal almost like a wound. That's why you might feel shock, confusion, anger, self-doubt. Our brain thrives on predictability and honesty. So when someone lies, it destroys our sense of safety, whether it's emotionally or socially. But good news is, understanding this reaction means that you can also heal from it consciously. So the first step is to pause before you react. When you catch someone lying, your instinct is to confront, accuse, or pull away. But in that emotional storm, logic shuts down. So first, pause. Breathe. Let your emotions settle. Because reacting in anger might give you relief, but it rarely brings resolution. Before confrontation, ask yourself, do I want understanding or revenge? Do I want to repair this or release it? That clarity changes everything. Step 2 is to seek context, not just confession. When someone lies, it's easy to think they don't care about me. But often, people lie out of fear, shame, or insecurity. Try to understand why they lied. Was it to protect you, themselves, their image? Understanding the why doesn't excuse the lie, but it helps you respond with the wisdom, not vengeance. Use the phrase, "Help me understand what made you feel you couldn't tell me the truth." It's powerful. It opens dialogue instead of deepening the distance. Step 3 is to rebuild the trust. After a lie, trust becomes fragile like a glass. Sometimes you can fix it, sometimes it's too shattered. Ask yourself, has this person lied before? Are they willing to own it? Can they show consistency over time? Because trust isn't built with words. It's built with patterns. If they take responsibility, show change, and respect your boundaries, healing is possible. But if lies repeat, it's okay to walk away. Remember that forgiveness doesn't always mean reconnection. You can forgive someone internally for your peace without letting them back into your circle. Step 4 is to strengthen your truth muscles. Every time you handle dishonesty with maturity, you grow emotionally stronger. Use these experiences to sharpen your intuition. Learn to trust your gut. Communicate clearer boundaries. And surround yourself with people who value integrity. In your career, this also means being the one who sets the tone, the person known for transparency and fairness. That's leadership through truth. Step 5 is don't let one lie define all truths. One of the biggest dangers after being lied to is generalization. We start thinking no one can be trusted, but that belief silently poisons your relationships and self-esteem. Remember, someone's dishonesty is a reflection of their fear, not your worth. Don't let one person's lie make you build wall against everyone else. So when someone lies to you, yes, feel the hurt, but also use it as an information. It tells you about their fears, your boundaries, and your strength. Being lied to isn't just a setback, it's a lesson in discernment. You learn when to trust, when to question, and most importantly, how to stay true to yourself no matter what others do. Because ultimately, you can't control others' honesty, only your own clarity. And that brings us a full circle. Understanding lying, not to justify it, but to rise above it. Something so ordinary, yet so powerful in shaping who we become. We also discovered that understanding the psychology behind lying isn't about judging ourselves or others. It's about learning to live with clarity, awareness, and authenticity. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for spending your time with me on MindSense. If today's episode helped you reflect, share it with someone who values growth as much as you do. And don't forget to subscribe to MindSense on Spotify and follow us on Instagram for more such content.